Top 5 week 1 reactions. This is a little bit delayed. I wasn't here the last couple days. But just wanted to kind of throw this out, discuss this with the fellers here. Everybody in the room. The bros, the guys, the dudes up here with me.
That's right.
All right. Number 5. Mike Elko can coach.
Absolutely.
This shouldn't be a surprise, but the way that he had his team ready for that game against Clemson, and some of that I'm watching the game, like some of this is, I know Clemson's got to get playmakers. We're going to talk about that in a second, but this is a different Clemson roster than maybe they've had before. But to have his team ready in that when they made mistakes, they didn't let the specter of Clemson, like, oh, well, this was nice. You know, we had them down. We were winning. Yep. And, you know, that was cute. I'm glad everybody's going to be excited and go like, oh, you guys almost had it. It was the intensity that they had was unbelievable. Florida State is 19-0 against Duke all time. And this is the first time as a fan of Florida State that I've ever been like, I don't want to play Duke. I mean, honestly, in the lowest years, I'm like, well, at least they've got Duke. Now I'm like, oh, man, I'd like to kind of cycle them off the schedule this year.
Yeah, man, he's a hot name, and rightfully so. Obviously came over from Texas A&M and, got that job. And, you don't know when guys take over programs, especially kind of, brand new head coaches of how all that's going to work. And, won 9 games last year, got them to the postseason, obviously, won a bowl game, got into this year, and then right out of the gates you beat Clemson, and you get to storm the field at your place in a primetime game where no other game's on. Yeah, they got the mojo right now, man. They really do. And we're talking Duke football. Like, what are we talking about? Like, this isn't what Spurrier back in the day, or, and I know there's been points in between too, but yeah, it's unique and it's different and it's new, but it's cool. And I think he's doing a great job there, to say the least.
You know who they, to me, remind me of what Stanford was with David Shaw.
Yeah.
Solid ground game. Of course, the quarterback had the big run that really kind of like, whoa, this really is not going to happen, or this really is going to happen for Duke. They kind of have that mentality to me of what Stanford was with David Shaw.
Here's what you can't do. You cannot look at Duke on the schedule and be like, okay, we can play poorly and still win that game. Yep. No, you can't.
No.
You're going to have to play really well to win that game because they will take advantage of it.
Now, I will say this. Clemson shot itself in the foot.
Yeah.
So, you're not Duke and you didn't play – if you're Duke, you didn't play perfect. You didn't just, blow – you blew them out, basically. But, that is another one of those games of, a couple things flip. So, they've got some stuff to work on. But I say that just to say of, they're probably going to stumble. But, man, they're in a really good spot.
They out-physical Clemson, and that doesn't have Clemson very
absolutely.
often. Number 4, Travis Hunter is college football Otani.
Trademark that, by the way.
Yeah. I don't know. I probably did not do it in time. Somebody else is going to have this idea. It's probably not an original thought, but we're living in the Otani times. Unfortunately, he had the elbow injury. He has to have Tommy John again, but he's going to pitch again. And I'm trying to think back of some of the other guys who played both ways. Most of the time, you're one or the other, and you have a package on the other side of the ball. And usually it's like if you're a cornerback, you have a wide receiver group of okay, we're going to throw these couple routes at you. We've got some things that are almost kind of gimmicky, and we're just going to put the ball in your hands. But he is full-time, both sides playing a ton.
Was it 140 snaps?
Yeah,
is that right?
Ridiculous amount of snaps. Now, he probably is not going to have to do that in every single game, but Colorado's schedule is tough. So they're going to hope that he does it in a lot of them. And he is just such an amazing playmaker and just – the perfect dude for Dion. They're going back and looking on it, if they famously went to Jackson State and followed Dion, and a lot of people thought that's crazy. Why would that be crazy? You are the perfect Dion guy. Going with Dion, it's just kind of amazing to watch.
Yeah, I went tracked it down. Played every snap on defense, and overall played 87% of offensive and defensive snaps.
It was 140 snaps.
So, special talent. I think we all knew that, though. You knew from following recruiting and what a big land that was for Dion to get him originally and then bring him over. He's a star. He's without a doubt a star, and they've got a handful of stars on that team, whether it's Shador, whether it's Travis Hunter, whether it's guys we haven't even seen yet, an Alton McCaskill, who could be another one. But there's other guys as well, and I'm a firm believer in college football and just college sports, like it's great to have great teams. I also think you need a little star power, and I think Colorado's got that in a major way right now, and that's going to be part of why they're able to sustain this. Now, I'm not going to go crazy, and they're undefeated. Like they have a tough schedule, like you said, Paul. They could slip this week.
Yeah,
I mean, they could lose to Nebraska in theory, but they've got stars, they've got swagger, they've got belief. And they've got a lot going in their direction right now, and he's a big reason why. And he's going to be one of the most fun players to watch throughout the rest of this year.
As long as the offense and defensive line continue to not only hold up, but also progress throughout the year, they got the stars to make it. And I just think they have too much for this week as far as stars to overwhelm a team that doesn't have any that I know of.
Yeah. Matt Rule called him one of the most conditioned athletes he's ever seen.
Yeah.
I would say he's the most conditioned athlete I've ever seen.
Ask Matt Rule. Who was the other guy?
Yeah, exactly. Number 3, the ACC might be a little bit more interesting. Look, the ACC falls into the league that kind of, whether it's Clemson or FSU or whoever, it's just kind of got one team that controls it, and sometimes it's that, but not ready to kick dirt on Clemson yet. I know everybody is, but look, Dabo, even playmakers and notwithstanding, Clemson's still going to be there because if you watch the way they play defensively up front, like offense, defense, like they're good up front. Like they've got to find something that's not there, but they're still Clemson, so you still have to worry about them. Duke is going to put, a wrench in somebody's machine. FSU was fantastic against LSU on Sunday night. Wake Forest is still going to be interesting. And then there's the teams like Miami, where are they? We'll see, them and A&M is like who has improved over a tragic year last year more? Is it A&M or Miami? And A&M handled Miami last year. That's how bad Miami was a season ago. And then you get a game like Louisville and Georgia Tech that's two teams that are new coaches and in there that's like right down to the wire and looks like they might have something. So the ACC might be a little bit more fun. I didn't even mention North Carolina, who looks way better on defense.
Right now, if you could bet, and I know you're an FSU guy and you probably would be more conservative, but right now with Clemson losing to Duke, do you think there's any, not that no one can beat Florida State, but is it now Florida State against the field?
Yes, absolutely,
yeah, I think
100%.
So. And look, Duke beating Clemson is huge because if Florida State can take care of their business and actually beat Clemson for the first time in, 7 years or whatever it is, 8 years, maybe longer, if they can actually do that, then it ensures they probably don't have to play them again in the ACC title game, and then they can focus on whoever that's going to be. Based on week 1, I'm going to say North Carolina with Drake May and Gene Chizik going back to old school Gene Chizik defense that they have at North Carolina there. So we'll see. But I'm not counting Duke out of this. I'm not counting Florida State into things yet. That was an impressive game the other night, and it is theirs for the taking if they want it, but they still have to do it.
Yeah, you have to go out and do it. And look, a lot of these teams are talking really good about their 1-0. They're not 8-0, 9-0. So there's a lot of season left to play out. But yeah, I mean, overreaction week 1. The ACC looks really stout, but it is very clearly, to me at least, it's Florida State's to lose. I mean, they are the most talented and dynamic and, just total package of a team, I think, in the league right now. And Clemson's clearly got some faults. Clemson's still really good, though, guys. Like, I know they've got some deficiencies, but they're going to beat most everybody they play.
Tighten up the ship.
But, Duke just got them and did it convincingly. But, yeah, I think it's a really fun – like, the Pac-12 is a fascinating race. The SEC, because Bama's sort of wavering. I mean, I know it's like Georgia, but, we don't know how that's going to take shape over the next few weeks. The Big 12 just looks like it's going to be a muddled mess. And the ACC is right there as far as, fun conference races through week 1. This one's definitely got some fun ingredients.
Yeah. Number 2, the Pac-12 is even crazier than I thought. DJU, I know it's San Jose State, but that was a team that looks like they're on the rise a little bit.
They played against USC pretty well.
Played pretty well. That DJU is fantastic. Wazoo and Wisconsin this week is going to be very telling about where both those programs are. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Wazoo do really, really well.
Tanner Mordecai didn't play all that well in his debut.
Had a couple of picks.
Had a couple interceptions.
Yeah, but he actually, with of course the running with Braylon Allen, you can kind of like, all right, well I've thrown a couple of picks. Let's just give it to this guy and let this pony run. But he did that very well. Obviously, USC and Oregon. This is going to be a really, really interesting league. And look, even though Arizona State's not playing for anything because of their postseason ban, and they barely won the first week, Jaden Rashada showed why he was like, you see at times if you watch him like, oh, that's why this guy could ask for $13 million and somebody be like, yeah.
They already had, we know, quarterbacks before Rashada became the starter, and obviously who knows what's going to happen with him. But, I mean, they are loaded with the position that matters.
Yeah, the Arizona schools still have a lot to work on.
Yeah.
That's fair to say. But, yeah, Rashada's got some star qualities. You understand why he was so talked about and why he's, such a pull in so many directions to try and land him with various schools. But, yeah, I mean, the Pac-12 – I think, the end of the Pac-12 only adds like a whole another pile of ammo to, or combustibility to this whole thing because, this is the last run. And I think that adds a cool element that's not cool, obviously, for the fans who aren't happy about it, but it does sort of put some extra oomph to it. And they're stacked. I mean, either recruiting well or hitting the transfer portal. It's a league of a lot of really fun quarterbacks with, in turn, some really good teams and some really good coaches as well. So, yeah, it's a banner start and, big opportunity for Oregon this weekend. Big opportunity, for a lot of teams, but it's a fun league.
Yeah. At number 1, Clemson needs playmakers, and I did not think I would ever say that. I just did not. And I knew that Dabo was against the transfer. Like, he wasn't big on the transfer portal, and he's very old school. And, the NIL thing has been kind of comical when it comes to them. But I just didn't realize, how much he did not like it. It was like he's almost cold turkey on it.
You talking about Dabo?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
obvious. I just thought that there were a couple, I don't want to use the transfer portal. That still means if you lose 8 guys, 12 guys, 13 guys, you'll go get 4, just because you need it. Yeah. But to not get any but guys who are essentially backups and grad transfers, I didn't realize he was that absolutely
wasn't he one of the guys that we talked that might walk away because of how football
I just
has
didn't
changed?
Realize he wasn't using it to the amount he wasn't using
that's
it.
well documented. I'm surprised you didn't know
that.
that.
I mean, it's one thing to say you're not going to hit it like Miami or Texas or Oklahoma or something, and it's another thing entirely to have one transfer, one actual transfer. That's sticking to your guns. I can appreciate that, but to the extent it's hurting you. And the thing that was shocking to me is obviously Will Shipley's great. Cade Klubnik's got a lot of potential and all that, but just a lack of star receivers. I mean, this is the same program that was spitting out DeAndre Hopkins and Sammy Watkins and Hunter Renfrow and all these guys, T. Higgins, and I mean, go on and on and on the last few years. I mean, that's a program that could, get in the wide receiver U conversation as far as present day and have an argument to at least last a little while. And you just didn't see that kind of star power and explosiveness with Clemson that I feel like you typically see. They're still good, but they're just not as wow as maybe they were in years past.
Look, I believe in the Ferris Bueller, motto of isms kind of get you in trouble. I don't believe in, he had that line, I don't believe in Beatles, I just believe in me, which is the John Lennon, that whole thing. I think when you do get too kind of into your dogmas that he has, you can hurt yourself in the long run, whether you're right or not. Look, the thing is that you might think it's all wrong, but literally everyone else around you is doing it. And you are putting yourself at a disadvantage because you're no, I'm going to do it in my perceived mind the right way when whatever you think is right is changed. Nick Saban adapts. Everybody's adapted. If you don't adapt, adapt or die, right?
Yeah, I think it's too early to read the last rites by any means on the Clemson football with Dabo at the helm and all of that, but it is a very interesting situation that because of his own stance, his very public stance, has put them in a situation where, when they lose now, or they lose especially a game like Duke, and they don't necessarily look like they're just so much immensely more talented than a team like that, that's when, you start to have a little bit of a concern, and we definitely know there's some concern after Monday night, but let's see how they, get their bearings back. But there's at least, a different kind of target on them or a different kind of focus on them than there has been in quite a while.
All right, thanks,